Real questions I was asked during my Infra Cloud Senior SDET interview round 1. If you have 4 or more years of experience, listen closely. These sample answers will help you prepare for your next big opportunity. Please note that these answers are only brief sample responses. The actual answers may vary from person to person depending on their experience, exposure, and practical implementation style. Question 1. Tell me about your experience in Python automation and CloudWatch logs, Prometheus, Grafana. Answer. My strengths include building API automation frameworks with PyTest and Python, designing reusable API clients, and integrating data-driven testing with logging, reporting, and CI/CD. For AWS monitoring, I've used CloudWatch to analyze logs and debug deployment issues, Prometheus for collecting system metrics, and Grafana to visualize health dashboards. Question 2. What have you done in API automation? Answer. I built frameworks with PyTest, validated status codes, headers, response bodies, and schemas. I implemented negative test cases, integrated tests with Jenkins, and generated HTML or Allure reports. Question 3. There is an API with multiple endpoints. How will you validate it? Answer. I perform functional and schema validation for each endpoint, check authentication, run negative scenarios, validate dependencies if endpoints interact, and ensure data consistency between API and database. Question 4. If an API accepts file upload, what content type will be used? Answer. Multi-part or form data is used for file uploads. Question 5. For JSON payload, what is the content type? Answer. Application be JSON. JSON is the standard for JSON requests. Question 6. What is an async API? Answer. An async API does not give an immediate result. It acknowledges receipt, processes in the background, and sends updates via callbacks or events, common in event-driven systems like those using Kafka. Question 7. What all things have you done in Python? Answer. API automation, object-oriented concepts, exception handling, logging, utilities, virtual environments, and managing dependencies. Question 8. How do you handle dependencies? Answer. I use requirements.txt with Vim for isolated environments and ensure tests are independent using proper setup and teardown for parallel runs. Question 9. What is Vim and why should we use it? Answer. Vim creates isolated Python environments to avoid conflicts, manage project-level dependencies, and ensure reproducibility. Question 10. Linux commands you have used. Answer. Commonly, ls, cd, pwd, grep, cat, tailfps-top, chmod, kill for log inspection and debugging servers. Question 11. How extensively have you used AWS? Answer. I have practical exposure to EC2, CloudWatch, S3, log monitoring, and deployment-level debugging, focusing on hands-on problem solving. Question 12. Tell me about Terraform and ephemeral deployment. Answer. Terraform provides infrastructure as code. I use Terraform init, plan, apply, destroy commands. Ephemeral deployments create temporary test environments removed after validation for clean testing. Question 13. Tell me about Docker. Answer. Docker lets you containerize applications for environment consistency, easy deployment, and portability. Question 14. Docker commands answer. Docker build, run, PS, images, logs are part of my routine. Question 15. Simple Dockerfile syntax answer. From Python 3.10, workdir/app, copy, run pip install R requirements, txt, cmd. Question 16. Difference between entry point and cmd. Answer. Command is a default command, easily overridden. Entry point defines a fixed executable, harder to override, and used when a container must always start a specific process. Question 17. In Kubernetes, what have you done? Answer. I've checked pod status, viewed logs with kubectl logs, monitored deployments, used namespaces, and debugged service-level issues. Question 18. Difference between Docker and Kubernetes. Answer. Docker is used to build and run containers. Kubernetes orchestrates them, handling scaling, deployment, and self-healing. Question 19. How do you debug a 500 error when service runs on Kubernetes? Answer. I check pod status, inspect logs, check pod events, verify environment variables, validate service configs, and ensure dependent services like DB or Kafka are healthy. Question 20. What is CrashLoopBackOff? Answer. It happens when a container keeps crashing and Kubernetes restarts fail. Reasons include application errors, bad configuration, or dependency failures. Question 21. How to configure Splunk for PyTest QA? Answer. Enable structured logging in JSON, configure a forwarder, send logs to a Splunk index, and use dashboards for tracking failure trends, especially useful for CI/CD pipelines. Question 22. Explain RCA, root cause analysis. Answer. It means systematically identifying symptoms, collecting logs and metrics, narrowing down failures, validating your hypothesis, and fixing root causes to prevent issues recurring. Key takeaways. Senior SDET interviews go beyond scripting. Strong debugging and system understanding are crucial. Be prepared to discuss cloud, monitoring, and RCA with clarity. Thanks for listening. For more details and helpful links, check the description below. Good luck with your next interview.